day camp professionals, and welcome back to the Day Camp Pod. I'm Andy Pritikin, the director of Liberty Lake in the Philadelphia suburbs of New Jersey.
I'm Sam Thompson from Crystal Lake, Illinois, Park District Camps.
And I'm Ehren and from Camp Robin Hood, located just outside of Toronto in Canada.
And together we're the triumvirate of experienced day camp professionals who have joined forces to provide a forum for day camp professionals to share ideas and best practices across North America and beyond. For today's episode, we will be discussing day camp open houses and tours, a topic we can all relate to. We'll be sharing our thoughts in just a minute, but first, this Go Camp Pro podcast is sponsored in part by the American Camp Association, New York and New Jersey, dedicated to preserving, promoting, and enhancing the quality of the summer camp experience. For camp professionals, that includes a wide array of professional development, including the Tri-State Camp Conference and other smaller conferences that can be found at acanyj.org. The Day Camp Pod is also brought to you by the friendly and resourceful folks at Commercial Recreation Specialists, CRS, fine purveyors of the best waterfront and water park products in the world. Check out their website for a mind-blowing list of products at crs4rec.com. CRS is serious about fun. Okay, day camp open houses and tours. Here, I just wanted to start out by giving my sort of marketing philosophy and how it relates to the open house and the tours. I see everything that I do in regards to social media, in regards to advertising, in regards to all the feelers that I'm putting out there during the years, that is directed to get people to my website, to libertylakedaycamp.com. And once they're there, the goal of my website is to get people to come visit. And I think that we have a unique opportunity as day camps because we're located in the neighborhoods of the people that we are soliciting. Whereas our poor friends in the resident camp business, you know, they're driving up and down, you know, flying out to different states, sitting in people's living rooms. And, you know, it's an interesting thing. We can have people come to us. And even if it's not the best of times, meaning like the middle of the winter, you know, when it's not going to look anything like the summer, they can still get a good feel for your camp and for the people that run it. So once they're at my camp, then I can do that. I can show who I am, right? And then it's incumbent upon me to get them to, you know, as I use the quote all the time from Glengarry Glen Ross, to sign on the line that is dotted, right? So the first question I was going to throw out there to the team here is, what is your goal at your open house besides the kind of things I mentioned? What's your goal in getting people out there and the experience they're going to spend with you for that half hour, that hour and a half, or whatever? Anyone want to take that?
Yeah. So I think for us, the main goal is to just to, you know, get people on our site and experience, you know, what we're promoting, which is an environment that is, you know, that is an outdoor setting, a little bit different than some of the, you know, other camps, but essentially, you know, we want people to see our facilities and our people, and just to get to know what makes us special. That's our main goal, I think.
Good.
For us, it's developed differently over the years. I hadn't thought about doing tours, but 2 of my facilities are available where the rest aren't. So I'm going to start trying that. But our open houses originally were just going through the parent handbook, meeting the staff the week before camp started. So they were already signed up. 3 years ago, we turned it to doing it early in May, trying to get new people and doing it at the park site and doing activities all day long. But for us, we kept finding out that it was only our people who are already signed up that were coming. So I'm changing it this year, and I can tell you more about that later.
That's awesome. You know, I mean, Sam has a unique camp situation compared to Erin and my own, in that she runs a municipal program, a program run by her township and all. And of course, they use the facilities for all different things. But I think that there's more camps in the country, and maybe more listeners that are listening to this that are in your situation than ours. So hopefully they'll learn from some of the things that Erin and I are doing. I think it's also an opportunity, having an open house, is an open opportunity for parents to see that like you're real serious about what you do, that you're like a camp professional. I think that most people see camps as like this, you know, little daycare thing or whatever. They don't really, unless they went to camp themselves, they don't have a good mental model of what this thing is. And when they come and see these year-round youth development professionals who are super passionate about what they do and organized in the experience that they get, I think they can find that they're like, wow, I didn't realize this was such a thing, you know? And in the world of private camping, then hopefully they'll say, now I see why it costs so much. So anyway, so Sam, you mentioned that, and a lot of day camps are like you, that they don't generally do their open houses until the spring when the weather's good and people are like, oh my God, what am I doing with my kids this summer kind of thing, right? And yet on the other extreme, there are camps that have already had open houses, you know, in the fall for next summer, right? I could tell you what I've done. My model that I'm content with at this point is that we start in January, towards the end of January. I try to position my open houses on the week after a big camp fair, because we go to about, you know, 3 or 4 camp fairs. So if I'm doing a big camp fair, I want to be able to give them a card and say, hey, next weekend, we're having an open house at our place. And that seems to work very well. And we do them basically about every 3 weeks up until the spring, right? I think our last one is just, you know, a week or 2 before staff orientation starts. And then of course I run a Renaissance fair on my site, which my friends tell me is the biggest camp open house of all time, because, you know, we get a lot of people out for that too. So Ehren, when do you do your open houses? When do you schedule them?
So for us, we have basically 3 set times when we do it. So our first open house was just a couple weeks ago. We do an October open house that coincides with one of our registration registration points, where we have an October you know, savings that we offer, and it's an opportunity to give you know, just give people a fun experience in the fall for their families. A lot of, you know, people are going pumpkin picking and apple picking in the area where we are, so we sort of capitalize on that opportunity and try to get some you know, early registrations in at that same point. But we've really, you know, over the years we've done some soul searching just to try to figure out, you know, what that fall open house is all about, and we're still trying to I guess you know, pinpoint our messaging and our approach to that, because in the past we've done full tours and full structured setup for that day, and then, you know, other years we've just done you know, come and jump on some bouncy inflatables and eat some cotton candy and that kind of thing. So it's an interesting day for us, but our real sales, you know, sort of selling you know, the experience open houses are in June. So we do one at the beginning of June and one just before camp starts, where we have an opportunity to show camp as it will, you know, as close to as it will look when the kids arrive as possible. And those are usually for the really serious, almost committed, or almost already signed on the dotted line, if not already signed on the dotted line, kind of experiences. So I think we still have an opportunity to do some more. You know, I like the idea of what you're saying, Andy, about just, you know, doing frequent open houses throughout the year. I think there's definitely some merit in being able to bring people up there as much as possible, see, you know, really meet, you know, us, the people that, you know, are professionals doing this all year round, and get to see, you know, our connection. I think there's a real statement made by, you know, somebody being available in January to give a tour of the camp, because, you know, like you said, most people, you know, most camps that are not, you know, not, you know, doing this all year round, they have, you know, seasonal directors or whatever. They don't even have the people necessarily to give tours throughout the year. So I think that messaging alone, that ability alone sends a strong message.
I think
Yeah.
with us too, our competition in our area, the one thing that sets us apart is that we have a lake. So when we start talking about tours, I thought I should really be showing them this unique part of our camp that nobody else has. So I'm definitely going to start doing that in the winter, so they can get an idea.
So Erin, you don't have any tours at Camp Robin Hood from January until the June thing historically?
So it's been
I know
something.
you're in the land of the ice and snow up there.
Well, I usually come out of my igloo for a few hours every day, but no, we have the ability to go to our site. It does get a lot more snow than we get in the city, so trekking around there is challenging. The guy, we have a site manager that's there all year round, and he only plows a small area of snow in the winter, so it's a bit of a challenge when it comes to snow and walking around. But at the end of the day, if we get a request, somebody who's really unsure about sending their child to our camp unless they can visualize what the site looks like, then we will do a one-on-one guided tour. But we haven't put an emphasis into promoting that. We've actually steered away from that as much as possible, and I think that your approach, like I said, I think is probably probably makes sense and something that we should explore, and even if it's getting some snowshoes or something, so that the parents and kids can come and just walk around there more easily. I think that could be.
Well, you certainly have a lot of tennis rackets, right? They could use those instead of snowshoes.
So many tennis rackets.
So we touched on some interesting things I want to delve into a little further here. First of all, the fact that Erin's camp is in Toronto, that does create issues. People don't realize. When I helped start the camp in Boston, Everwood, I gave them the same sort of outline of how to do their open houses and stuff. And I didn't realize that basically like from December through March, there's like 6 feet of snow everywhere. And it's crazy. And the whole concept of like having your maintenance people like keep that thing safe and presentable, that is a big deal, no doubt about it. In my case, I don't have 6 feet of snow, but even if it's 6 inches of snow, it does present issues with ice and things like that. And it takes a lot of work for my maintenance crew and commitment to do that. Erin mentioned something about his tour, his fall event, which I just did one also. We just did a Halloween one too. And his doing these open houses, these fall events, spring events, whatever you are, based on the lines in the sand that you have created for your enrollment tuition bumps, right? So I was brought up in day camping as a professional on Long Island, okay, which is like the epicenter of insane competition and like unbelievable facilities and super smart people. So my mentor at the time was Ben Applebaum. And what he used to do, we literally had about 6 price breaks. We had the super early, the winter, the late winter, the early spring. And I thought he was nuts. But what he did was put these cheap little psychological trick lines in the sand so that parents, so when you're giving a tour, you could say, hey, by the way, the price goes up on Monday, and even if it's $50, there's something about that people will just be like, ooh, the price goes up, oh, we don't want the price to go up. Or would you give us the same price if we signed up on Tuesday kind of thing? Well, let me think about it, So those lines in the sand are super important. And I think it's, you're selling yourself short if you just have one price. This is our price for the year. That if you move it around a little bit, it really helps push people over the fence. Another thing I want to say was the events that he's talking about. I agree. It's great getting people to come to your camp for events. And when you have an event, it's not just new people, but it's also returning people. And it's your returning people who are already drinking the Kool-Aid and who are already super psyched about camp. And I sort of stole the idea from my man Dane Pickles up at Everwood of having each open house be an event in itself. So for instance, our first open house that's set is at the end of January. It's on the weekend between the NFL and AFC football championships and the Super Bowl. So it's a free weekend, and we bill it as a Super Bowl tailgate party. So people come out to our site. We do a barbecue so they can get hot dogs and hamburgers, right? We're tossing the football around. If it's not too bad with the weather, we'll have the rock climbing wall and maybe some, an art kind of project. And then we're giving tours. So when these inquiries are coming in, right? So these leads are walking in and they're seeing this situation. They're also seeing, a couple of dozen or maybe more families who are returning families who love the place, who are hugging the directors and, oh, I'm so happy to be back here and all kind of thing. And it really creates an amazing positive vibe for the place. And also it makes it, there's just more people there. So it's not this like weird stagnant, oh, we're having an open house on a Saturday and, 12 people show up and it feels like a ghost town. Like if you have this amount of people there to start with, you have a few dozen people there to start with, it feels like more like a party. So I'm very big.
I don't know if you guys have either of you have tried this before, but we tried something that a lot of the sleepover camps in this area do, which is running events in the city at different locations, whether it's a video launch at a movie theater or some sort of a fun fair that you plan inside of a school building or a gym or something, along those lines. We've done different things like that over the years, and it's nice to bring the community together. But we don't know necessarily if we don't do it annually because we don't know necessarily if it's been, a success from the standpoint of bringing in new families and, or even, from a PR standpoint, just keeping families connected if they'd rather, come to our site and do stuff at the site, to make the connection of exactly, what the event's about. I think that we've sort of settled on the fact that if it's not at the site, that people aren't really connecting the event to our camp. I don't know if if you guys have toyed with those ideas, but a lot of the sleepover camps are doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, we have done those things in the past. They cost a lot of money. They often don't bring out the big crowds. But yeah, they're worth trying. Certainly, we do a movie premiere. We do our video yearbook as a movie premiere. And I've been at other camps that have done circuses and all kinds of cool stuff. But it doesn't bring the kind of crowds you would think. I tend to agree with you, Ehren, that if it's not at your site, it's tough. Another thing about my January open house, by the way, is that it has been the last 3 years our biggest open house, bigger than anything in the spring. It brings out the type A moms who have been researching camps for a year, right? They all come. And they sign up. Right? They're ready to go. Like this is for them, the open house is like the rubber stamp. I just want to make sure that what I'm seeing and hearing is all true. That their 4-color printing and their website is actually real, legit, right? So I think that's sort of cool. Some of the camps in the New York tri-state area, like I said, with the super competition, Long Island, Westchester, Rockland, North Jersey, they actually, their day camps will choose a weekend day. So let's say a Saturday or a Sunday, and be open every single Saturday or Sunday throughout the year. So it's just an open thing. They're just telling people, hey, we're here every Saturday, from 10 to 2 or something like that, just to make it easy for people. One of the great expressions that I heard at a workshop, at a tri-state workshop one time about marketing is you need to roll out the red carpet for people. You need to make it easy for them to sign up, as opposed to putting in roadblocks, unintentional roadblocks all over the place. And if they want to see your camp, I appreciate that Ehren said, like, if I was a needy parent and I called and said, oh, I really want to see the place, he would do it. He would let me see the place. But there's a lot of parents that are more introverted, more quiet, and they're looking on your website. And if they don't see an open house date, or if they don't see when they can come, they're not going to necessarily ask. Because I put it on my stuff all the time too, that we give tours anytime, 7 days a week by appointment. Okay. How many of them do I get? A dozen, maybe 2 dozen during the course of a year, right? But putting those actual dates in drives people to those dates. And you drive your social media to those dates. You drive your marketing to those dates. All my ads have when that next date is on it. All my Facebook ads, all that kind of stuff. I use the metaphor to my colleagues all the time. I say, think about your college friends when you talk to your college friends and you say, we should get together. right? Yeah, we should get together. But
One
if you
day.
don't say on November 29th, we're getting together at Joe's house, then it ain't going to happen, right? Saying, yeah, we should get together. Call me. We'll get together. It never works out. So I apply that logic to my camps.
For me, some of my reasons for doing my open house, number one, the parents want to know more information about your policies and all that. And they don't want to see me do a slide presentation anymore. That's gone by. So this year I'm going to record it and have the link on my website. So if they don't want to read the parent handbook on the website, they can go to the video and I'll hit the highlights. The second reason they would always come is they wanted to meet the staff. And originally, I was just having the parents meet the staff because the facility was too small to bring all the kids. So this year, we're going to do it outside at our main beach, which is where we all start. And we're going to have them basically go through their arrival process, get their t-shirts, meet their counselors, and then we're going to have everyone get in their cars and do dismissal. Last year, we ballooned and we had to get police to do traffic control for our dismissal. And part of it was parents not cooperating with the policies that we had. So I think if we run them through arrival and dismissal that week before camp, and the kids and the parents get to meet the staff, and they get that so important t-shirt, we're going to try it that way this year.
I gotcha. So you're talking more about like, this is for the people who are enrolled, an open house for people who are enrolled, right? So we do that. We do a meet and greet night. We do a meet the counselors night. All right. And we don't go as far as you do with that kind of thing. And I also do a new parent orientation where I just talk their ears off for 2 hours. What I'm talking more about is the open houses for getting people to come, like for new people. One thing I recommend to all of you out there in podcast land, if you get a chance to go to a Lifetime Fitness, okay, they're popping up all over the place. It's a high-end workout place, right? High end, okay? Go there and act like you're interested in potentially signing up to be a member of Lifetime and go through their tour and their thing. It's really amazing and it's really high tech. And while Sam's was right, I don't think people want to sit there and look at slideshows so much. These guys have this interactive giant screen that they touch and it plays videos at each part. And it is really mind-boggling and very, very much like millennial, brain process kind of thing. And super professional and shows that, the money that you're going to spend, because it ain't cheap, is going towards something really, really good, right? Okay. So in regards to, all right, so we're having an open house at your place, okay? And there's going to be new people coming, okay? So, and how to prep your place and make it look inviting to these people. And I'm not talking like just an individual tour or something like that. I'm talking like we're having a big open house on this date kind of thing. It takes a lot of forethought to make it super inviting. Between we get those like the air dancers, the giant, things that wave their arms, on the street. We put out pictures of what camp looks like in the summer in various areas. So I have one over at the lake, because you got to imagine if you're coming to see my lake in January and it looks like an Alaskan tundra, right? But then I put a big frame thing that shows kids boating and fishing and swimming and stuff like that with big smiles. It helps paint the picture, right, for these things. I think, especially in this day and age, we're in the Instagram age, right? Pictures just mean so much. Also, I think a very important thing is having a sign-in sheet. And I recommend this for every single camp. Have a clipboard with a sign-in sheet at the door of your office 24/7. So that when somebody comes in, because you're going to get walk-ins occasionally asking about it, can you just fill out the sign-in sheet really quick so we have your information, right? Because there's nothing more frustrating than spending time with people, right? Whether it's on the phone or if they come and drop in or you give them a tour or whatever, and they leave and you have nothing and no way to follow up with them, right? So that's just a very simple thing that Mark Magid from Black Bear Lake showed me 15, 18 years ago that stuck with me, that I try to be militant with my people about.
Yeah, the sign-in sheet, and we found even that you know, if you can incorporate like an iPad into that sign-in process to ensure that you're, you know, the legibility of somebody's name or email address is there. I think for us, it's been a successful good way of investing a little bit of money into having that iPad as a sign-in. And there's some good services online that allow you to compile names and add them to your.
You got one, Ehren?
Yes, I can't remember it, but I'll add it to the notes, and
okay, cool.
so that you guys can see. It's a great service that we've been using, and we use it actually at some of the camp fairs also, with the same iPad, just
smart,
allowing people to sign in, because we've actually lost, you know, so many names with you know, 1 or 2 letters that we can't read in the
oh heck yeah,
in the email address.
I mean, we're really big in the Indian community, and some of those people have very long names, and you really hate having to spell them wrong because they had bad handwriting when they signed in.
For sure, yeah. So it's a great thing. So yeah, I'll get that service in a few minutes. But you know, something that, you know, we've had a fear of, you know, when we have our open houses and the camp is not doesn't look like you know, like it should in the summer, whether we're doing construction or just because of snow, or you know, wet facilities because of you know, rain at that time of year. We always have a fear that you know, that camp's not going to be presented in the way that we want it to look, and people will, you know, be you know, scared off because they see a facility that doesn't look you know, doesn't look like it should. So you know, Andy, I love that idea of showing pictures. We also, you know, we have a lot of video content that we've created over the years that we always steer people towards our videos when they have a question about, you know, about something specific. So we've tried to each year, you know, make videos as concise as possible based on the questions that we're getting. So you know, for us, well, we don't do a lot of tours in the winter, as I mentioned. The videos have been a good stand-in for, you know, for tours as far as we're concerned. But obviously, you know, as we have this discussion, you know, I agree with, you know, with like I said before with Andy, in terms of, you know, getting people on tours is the best way to sell it. So the videos have been something for us, you know, a stand-in for us. But you know, we're gonna have to look at some more touring opportunities as well.
Yeah. So when we're touring people, we're touring a family. We're not just touring the parents, right? We know that, you know, in the end, we've seen it enough that at the end of the tour or at the end of the day, mom is kneeling down to their little 6-year-old and saying, "So what do you think, honey?" Right? So we're also schmoozing the kids just as much as we're schmoozing the parents. And I think it's very important that you incorporate some interactive things on your tours. To get the kids to have a good time too. So they're not just listening to this 50-year-old guy rattle on for an hour, right? So like I said, rock wall, if we have a portable rock wall, we can move it wherever we want, right? Fishing, right? If the lake's not frozen. Gaga, we have a portable Gaga court that we can move anywhere. We do an Earth Day open house in April, and the kids come and plant trees, little baby trees throughout the camp. Right. And then again, shout out to Dane at Everwood. They end their tour days, because remember, their tour days, like mine, they're sort of like reunions also. They end their tour days at like 2:30 or 3 o'clock down on their beach of their lake with a campfire. And they do an interactive campfire, singing songs and stuff like you would do a real campfire, right? Which is super awesome. And because of that, people come to these open house things at Everwood and they stay for a couple hours to make it till the campfire, so they're not just coming and going, right? Art, and also not every kid's athletic, not every kid wants to sing, so some kind of art project or some kind of STEM kind of thing is always a good thing too for the kids. So,
yeah.
When we were doing our Saturday ones, we would have the portable climbing wall and a suspension bridge and Gaga and an art project and food. We
food's
do
important.
Yeah, some camp food and
so what do you mean? Wait, what do you mean camp food?
well, our cookout, you know, hot dogs and
Okay.
bug juice and you know, the good
That's
stuff.
cute. That's
Some
so cute.
either puppy chow or something like that. So
For us, the food actually has like providing that barbecue has been a great way to ensure that people are signing in, checking in, because we give out a ticket for barbecue. So
Smart.
you know, in order
Good
to,
tip. Oh, I clapped. Good tip.
I felt good about the clapping. Yeah, so that's been a great way to you know, just get those sign-in names on our list.
That's awesome. Yeah, we do. You know, we try to be healthy, so we do a lot of fruit and things like that, and healthy things. And because we're so tech-free, that's why we sort of hesitate with the iPads and things like that. But I think we're gonna go that way. I think that's really smart. I'm stealing that one, Ehren. So, besides your year-round staff, do you bring in seasonal people to give tours on these days?
For us, we definitely do. We have a group called our leadership team, which many camps have, and those are people who they're seasonal staff, but you know, they're involved, they're invested in us, and we meet with them during the winter several times, and you know, get their input as we plan for the summer. And those people, you know, are committed to you know, being at all these open houses that we have, and delivering you know, we know that they're the people that are going to deliver the message the way, you know, the way we want, and deliver provide the great you know, the great feeling that you know, that we want camp to be,
Yeah.
you know, the way we want camp to be presented. Yeah.
We have our leadership people too. I think it's very important to train them though. So what I always do is take them out on a tour with me. Maybe once with me, once with Brandy, once with Nate, the people, my assistant directors, so they get a feel of how we give tours, and not just be like, yeah, go give a tour. I think that there's a lot of camps, because I've been on a lot of camp tours, at sleepaway camps and at day camps, where they have relatively untrained people giving tours. And I could appreciate this really peppy, cute 20-year-old giving me a tour that's all excited about camp, and camp's awesome and blah, blah, blah. But at a day camp setting where we're trying to convince you to trust your 6-year-old with us, right? I think they want someone a little older, and someone that could be a little more trusting, and not just the head cheerleader or kind of person. I really do. They're nervous. These parents are nervous. You're talking about taking people and convincing them to give you their most unbelievably loving thing in the world, and entrusting them to relatively, you know, total strangers, right? So to be able to forge that kind of relationship of trust, you know, in a short period of time, that is a tall order. So, you know, to me, though, that's my profile. That's the kind of person I'm looking. Who can do that in an hour, in 45 minutes, to get people to go, wow, like this person knows what they're talking about, and they've been working with kids a long time, kind of thing. Now, that being said, I have 2 kids, 18 and 22. When they give tours, they're pretty darn good, because they're like, I've been here for my whole life and blah, 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 blah. But I make sure that when they give tours, it ends up with me, right? So that was my next question is, do you have, like, after they give a tour, then what? Where does this person go, right?
Yeah, I think something that I picked up at Tri-State a few years ago at the conference was that idea of, you know, really finishing the tour strong, and you know, whether it's one of your most senior people that are giving the tour, to find the one of the directors, and just have an opportunity for them to, even if it's 3-4 minutes, to just say hello, and you know, and offer them a drink, or you know, a cookie or something. I think it's been a really nice way to end the tours, and to, you know, just to put a face, you know, to the you know, to you know, a face to the operation that we run. And it's a great, I think it's been a great technique that we've used.
Yeah, and parents need to know what the deal is. Like, how do I sign up? Like, how does the deposit work? Is it refundable? You know, because that's their big question, is always like, when do I need to sign up? And meanwhile, you're like, God, 6 months ago, you know? So putting, you know, explaining the whole process. So what we do at our camp is that we lead them around and bring them back into the office, where I have an administrative director, my man that's in charge of registrations, basically. And he talks in very sort of black and white, this is the next step, this is the process, kind of thing, so they can understand that, and also just hear it from another voice. And that's worked out pretty well. And we do give a tour discount. So if you come for the tour, then you get a discount. And we usually say, by this date, by Monday. We used to, back at, when we started about 17 years ago, we used to have little laptops all over the place, and they were signing up on the spot. Since the recession, not so much. We still get people signing up on the spot. We do have laptops, but not as many out. Most of these people want to go home and discuss it and do it at home. And especially since the camp registration form is, a long form anyway. It's hard for them to be finding their emergency numbers and things like that while they're with you.
Yeah, I think one just to go sort of add on to what I was saying before. I've got the comment many times before that the idea of having all those questions answered, or having somebody who can who you can say, okay, I thank you for taking the tour with me. Here's the owner of the camp, and he can answer those 3 questions that you that you asked me that I didn't know the answer to. And I've heard feedback from several parents who've said, I can't believe the owner in the middle of this crazy busy day had 5 minutes just to talk to our family. And I think that touch point is is critical to
yeah. I mean, Sam, to me, like if I came to a camp tour and didn't talk to the woman that's been there for 32 years, I would feel shortchanged. I mean, frankly, because what a great selling point that you are, the continuity, that they've had at your camp with you.
Absolutely. And with us, the paperwork part that you were talking about, our registration by necessity is the park district registration, which is really, really short. So all those other forms, all the emergency forms, medical and whatever, they can do later on online. So at least it's a quick turnaround and not so, they don't need their emergency numbers and everything ready when they register, which has helped a lot.
Right. So I guess my point with the end of the tour, though, just to be really concrete about this, is that we hire a lot of really nice people, and they give a real nice tour, and they make the parents know that we're really nice. But then in the end, we're running a business, and they need to sign on the line that is dotted. So there needs to be some concrete instruction to your tour givers about, like, we got to get these people to sign up, and this is how we do it. This is how we explain it. This is who we hand it off for. We can't miss that opportunity. And we don't want to come off like used car salesmen, and be like, oh, sign up today and blah, 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 like too much. But we got to have a little bit of that. We really do. Another thing, being concrete, is that you're walking around with these people for 45 minutes, let's say, okay, or whatever. You're gaining information about them, right? It's not so crazy for the people giving tours to take notes about this family. So if you can get those notes into your database about that family, man, that's going to be a big help. If you found out that it's a divorce situation, right, and the kid's living with their father in the summer in your neighborhood, like, my goodness, that's a really good point for when mom calls, right? So all that kind of stuff, really important. I don't like taking notes while I'm talking. It seems weird to me. I come back to my desk real quick and I write it down in between tours if I can, or I'll look at the list, the sign-in list, and I'll write notes at 5 o'clock after the thing's over. Because that leads me to my last thing, is follow-up. Because then you can't just wait around for these people to potentially sign up. You need to reach out to them. And I'm not saying you got to call them in this day and age where nobody wants to get a phone call, but you could at least email these people in the least.
Right. And
go ahead, Erin.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we have Rain Outline, which is text messaging. And today I sent out a message to all my campers from last year that it's 212 days till camp. And that's all I said. So it sent that out, got them thinking about it. And so that's kind of following up throughout the year.
That's good.
Yeah, and I think also, if you're taking notes and and you're able to follow up, unexpectedly, like you're giving a tour and the parent has a lot of questions about or even just mentions casually, whatever it is that that the kid has an allergy, and there's always been concerns about the allergy. Like, imagine if the camp nurse can follow up and just say, just so this is what we do at camp. We have me and my team here throughout the summer. We would do a lot of information sharing with you before camp, and we have all these procedures in place to ensure that the allergy will not be an issue for for your child. I think doing those things, for us, doing those things has really paid off.
Right. And we had someone similar to that last year, Aaron. I gave a tour to a parent. The child was a 7-year-old girl, 8-year-old girl, something like that, competitive swimmer, like hardcore, like it's going to be in the Olympics one day. And the parents' big concern was, by coming to my camp, is she going to maintain her stamina? Is she going to be able to swim as much as if she didn't come to my camp and went to the swim club and it's a swim team practice every day, right? And I immediately put her in touch with our head of swim, and he told her how we would work it out and how we would do all this kind of stuff, and it worked out great. She ended up being one of the greatest campers we ever had last summer. But if I had missed that opportunity to follow up, I don't know. She probably would have been like, I don't know, right?
Yeah, and we're fortunate. We have all these great people who, they're seasonal staff, whether it be the nurse or the swim directors, and they're excited about the opportunity to talk camp during the winter months. So reaching out to them is never a burden for those people. Yeah.
All right, so that was good. There's plenty more to talk about. We could talk about camp tours forever. Moving on to our last part of our podcast. Okay, we have a day camp program idea of the week. All right, the DCP. All right, so the three of us think about it during the week, and we come up with an idea that we could share with you. You guys can apply to your camps, pretty quickly, relatively quickly and easily. All right, so mine is, we started an activity. We're an elective-based camp, so kids choose things for a week at a time at our camp, generally, besides special events and swim and there's other things. But the older you get at our camp, the more electives you get, and they're week-long. And one of the electives we start with 6-year-olds is Learn to Ride. And it's a bike riding elective where kids learn how to ride a bike. And I got to tell you that since we started this thing about 7, 8 years ago, that we have taught hundreds of kids how to ride a bike. Now, is that a sad statement about society? Maybe. But it's the real deal, right? Parents are busy, okay? They come home 6, 7 o'clock at night. They are overbooked, okay? They live in neighborhoods that may not be conducive to bike riding, like Aaron gets a lot of kids from Toronto, right? And we get kids from Philadelphia. So providing an environment where kids can learn the basics, right, and get started, and on Monday be totally scared and never been on a bike before, and by Friday be riding around in circles in our parking lot, it's unbelievably magical. And it's really the essence of camp in many ways, because it's challenging them, it's pushing their limits, it's getting them to achieve things they never thought that they can do. It's giving them, confidence by the mountainful, right? And, one of these episodes, we're going to talk about inclusion and special needs kids, because I know Sam does a lot of that at her camp too. And to see a kid that's on the autistic spectrum, like even kids that are not even mild, like even like legit on the spectrum, right, be able to do it. It makes their entire summer, and it's magical. The one tough part about it is the staffing of it, of course. You have to find some serious soldiers to put out there on that field. My staff affectionately calls Learn to Ride, Learn to Run. And we do start it off on the grass. So they start off on like really shortcut grass, because easier to fall on. And we give them knee pads and helmets and elbow pads and all that kind of stuff. But when they get going and they're at that first intermediary level where they're teetering, but they're riding, like someone needs to jog with them. It's important. So that's mine.
That's amazing. It's such an important part of their childhood. I hadn't thought about the fact that they're not getting it elsewhere anymore.
Yeah, it's really sad.
I love that. I love that idea. That's fantastic. We used to have a biking specialty, and we were struggling with how to keep it alive, because the kids were traditionally coming with the basic skills already, and then we were doing mountain biking through the wilderness areas, and
yeah, we have that too.
Yeah, we couldn't, we ended up discontinuing that specialty because of, you know, the struggle of, you know, of kids not knowing how to ride and us not having the resources to, you know, to teach them. But if that was the primary focus of the elective, I think it's a fantastic way to, you know, do all this, you know, do all those things that you're saying, building confidence, etc.
Yeah.
So my program idea, I'm going to follow in your footsteps, Andy, of admitting that I stole this from somebody. I think this was a Chris Thurber, potentially, from one of the conferences I attended, and we do this with the staff every year as a great team builder. I call it Sing Your Heart Out. I don't remember the original name, but we put the staff into relatively large groups, maybe, you know, 20, 30 staff in a group, and put them in separate areas of the big field, and we just list words. We just, you know, name off words, and the staff have to come up with a song that has that word incorporated into it. So they get 30 seconds to come up with as many different options of songs with that word in it as possible, and then we go to each group and give them a 10-second opportunity to sing the song that you know, that they came up with. And so going, you know, the reason they have to have multiple options available is because that song can only be used once. So if one group takes their idea, the next group has to have something else on the back burner to come up with. And so it's just, you know, keeping in line with the importance of song at camp. It's a great way for us to introduce music into the staff, you know, consciousness during pre-camp, and it's a really fun activity, and everyone ends up, you know, we usually end up allotting you know, half an hour for this, and we end up going 45 minutes or an hour sometimes, because it's you know, it's so much fun for everybody. So that's,
yeah, that we've done it too. It's a slam dunk for staff orientation. Absolutely. Speaking of slam dunks, shout out to your Toronto Raptors. They're doing great.
they are.
All right, Sam, you're up.
All right, so we always look for a service project for our older campers to do every year. And there's things like the Habitat for Humanity has one called A Brush with Kindness, where they can go paint fences for older people or that kind of stuff. So they're not in danger. But usually those are only on the weekend. So this year, Live Like Rue approached us. It's an organization that makes blankets for dogs with cancer. And so they provided the material, and basically the kids take 2 sheets of material and you cut 4 inches up along each border. So it takes a while to get all the way around the borders. And then you take both blankets and you tie a knot on each edge. So you end up with this beautiful blanket, and then the campers made cards for the dog, for the family of the dog, just saying, hope you feel better, or, you know, they were really cute. Some of the stuff they came up with, they drew pictures. I included a video on our notes that shows the project, so you get a better idea than my description of how you make the blankets. But it was a project that took a whole week. Kept them really interested. They could do it outside on the grass, they could do it inside, and then they made the cards, and the families, some of them responded and were very happy that they'd done it. So.
All right, that's great. That's super awesome. You know, we have an awesome team program of entering 9th and 10th graders. We're always looking for neat service projects for them to do. You know, part of their curriculum is service. And part of our mantra to them, you know, it's a leadership program, and to lead is to serve, right? It really is. And the older we get, the more we understand that. And if we can instill that into our teens, then that's really great. All right. Thank you very much. That's been it. We want to thank our executive producer, Travis Allison, for helping get this show out to you. Check out our show notes and this and other episodes at daycamppodcast.com. And if you don't want to miss an episode of the Day Camp Pod, you should subscribe to us on iTunes or wherever else you get your favorite podcasts. And iTunes reviews are super important. We would love it if you click the ratings and reviews button to show your Day Camp brethren some digital love. So thanks again to Travis. Check out his other podcasts at Go Camp Pro at camphacker.tv. And we will see you all real soon. Thank you.